Yeah, the state knows their
Well, that's what
requirements more
makes our
than
state
anybody
sovereign,
else does.
is the ability to make those decisions,
Right.
outside the federal government. Hmm. Yep. No, I think it's great, and people are scared when they hear about his taxes being cut, when they hear about the welfare, this and that being cut. And it's only just to return the power back to the states, because they should be able to support their people, each state.
Well, I mean,
Government.
but the thing is, if you look at, it's not even a plan, but if you look at that piece of paper where he said, this is where the money's going to go, and he's cutting certain programs. I mean, when you talk about cutting Meals on Wheels for the elderly, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't sit right, okay. Or when you talk about,
I agree.
The last thing they were talking about was Eric Kushner's golf promotional, where he foundation where he raises money for St. Jude's, and Trump is charging him now, not charging him, charging the foundation for the use of his golf course. What does Trump need the $100,000 really? When you
Is
think
it for
about
him
it?
or for the government?
No, it's a Trump facility. He's using a Trump facility. And the Trump Foundation is going to charge Eric's foundation $100,000 for the use of the golf course that they use in New Jersey. What does he need that $100,000?
There's got to be more to it
Because
than
he's only
that.
making $1 a year.
Really? Really?
As president. I'm kidding.
No,
Yeah.
Mark. So far, every statement you said today, I Googled, and you were basically wrong. Is that correct?
Hey, I'm batting 1,000.
So start Googling before you give me statements.
It makes for an interesting show.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Meals on Wheels and these other programs that are out there for people, from my understanding and from my reading of what they have as far as on paper, that Mulvaney was reading at the Senate Oversight Committee budget thingy.
Right.
They were talking about the programs were being cut that weren't producing, that weren't showing any type of really helping a mass amount of people. They may be helping a few, but we can do better. We can use that money towards a program that will be better than what they've got now with Meals on Wheels, because that money is being wasted. A lot of programs that we have are in excess, doing really little when they could be more.
Well, then they really they really need a good PR person to better sell, the programs that they want to initiate.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, when they print in the paper or somebody on the news comes out and says they're cutting Meals on Wheels, I mean, everybody's arm should be up in the air. How can you do that?
Did you look today?
Or they're cutting Medicaid, or they're cutting Medicare.
Yeah.
And that's
speaking of Medicaid or Medicare, how do you feel about? I mean, I know a lot of people don't like Obamacare. Okay, that would be an understatement. But how do you feel about what the House just passed and they sent to the Senate, that the Senate really hasn't looked at yet, but they said they're going to work out a deal of their own?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's any better, in all honesty, than
everybody
than
Obamacare. Everybody said from number 1 to 100 that's not the plan the Senate is going to pass. Not even close. They have to pass something so the Senate can work on it and make it right.
I realize that.
So it doesn't matter what they said to them.
But it was such a poor bill.
They could have sent them a blank piece of paper that they approved.
I wish they would have.
It's the same thing.
I wish they would have.
Well, okay, the original plan that they had that didn't even make it past the House, even up for a vote for that matter, was cruddy. It was a bad bill. It was. The second one that went through, though, that one wasn't too bad. That one cut a lot of excess taxes that people didn't even know existed, that they were paying as far as, out of their paycheck or out of their Social Security and all of this. So those taxes, I mean, I'm talking big-time taxes, were being slashed out, canceled out. So that money was being returned back to people's checks, their income, that they could have. And so that money would be theirs, and the Medicaid or Medi-Cal or Medicare program would be revised to where prescription drugs would be lowered because they would be able to be purchased outside of the country if people chose, which was a lot better because they are cheaper outside, but we just can't purchase them.
I know, and personally,
for high blood pressure and stuff.
And I don't see anything wrong with people in one state being able to go across to another state to purchase health care, okay, which is what they wanted to do, but was shot down. Especially when they say that, well, in this state there's only one provider and he basically has a monopoly on whatever he could charge. If people were allowed to go,
man, you don't want to pay for ovarian cancer screenings and breast screenings, right? I mean, you don't have
well, I mean, if I had look, I have a family plan. My wife is not of childbearing age anymore, okay? But it's the same reason that when school budgets always come up. I don't have any more children that go to local schools. All my children have all graduated college and they're doing their own thing, okay? But I never vote no on a school budget because I want the quality of education to be good, because I want to maintain the high price of what my home is worth in a good neighborhood. I want to be able to say that the schools are excellent, okay? But there are a lot of...
see, that's where you go wrong.
Well, but you see, I don't mind voting yes, but a lot of times, and I've known this to happen when they have a school budget, they bus in the elderly from nursing homes who are still on the books to vote. Now, these elderly people certainly do not want to pass a school budget, okay? If they're still paying taxes or whatever. But and maybe it's also because
my thing is, it's just that you're feeding a bad system. The education system is poor overall across our nation. We're so far behind, but so much money is being thrown at it, and it's only being thrown towards the unions and towards district. Where they have the district offices that employ all these other people, and the children really aren't getting the education that they deserve. And that's what bothers me when it comes around to voting on budgets. I have to tell. Asking for more money, but I'm not seeing any results.
Well, I have to tell you.
Mark is a union member.
That's right. As a former teacher, all right. Unfortunately, unions do protect. You'll excuse my language. Real shitty teachers. Okay, they can't really get rid of them. All right, but most of the money does not go into salaries. Where it goes is it goes into programs, and I've said this from the beginning. It'll go into a math program, and they'll invest God knows how many millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars into a math program and give it 3 years. 3 years from now, somebody else comes out with a better program. So what do? They scrap the money and the books that they spent and the training that the teachers went through to try this. Educated. When I say educators, I don't mean the people in the classroom. I'm talking about people in district offices or whatever. They are very quick. They don't give enough time for something to work. They want instantaneous results, and it just doesn't happen that way. Especially.
That's why I mentioned district offices and all their staff members and all of this other.
Please, you can cut.
Being spent on.
That's right. You can cut a lot of fat, from district offices. Believe me.
Did anybody watch Trump today when he was talking? When he was talking
to the Romanian
building the infrastructure? Was it yesterday?
Whatever. I caught part of it. Yeah, I think it was yesterday.
He pulled out 3 very fat books of regulations.
Yeah. Yep.
You saw that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
They wanted to build 28 miles of road, and there were like 3 fat books and regulations that you have to reports you have to do before you can 28 miles of repave 28 miles of road.
But you know something? Shortly after he became president, when he was signing all the executive orders and everything, he had a press conference and he had a table filled with folders. There was nothing on the outside of the folders, but there were a lot of papers on the inside. Okay, I would say it was like one of those aluminum tables that's about 4 feet long. All right. Now the thing is, he kept talking about it. No one was allowed to go up and look in the folders. So for all we know, those were folders with blank paper.
Right.
Okay. See that's what I mean when I say he does things and he doesn't realize that it becomes suspicious.
Well, why were those folders? Why were on his desk?
Well, when he fired Comey, all right.
It was a horrible way to fire him.
He knew that he was basically, not that he was, but his staff might have been under investigation by Comey and the FBI. So what does he do? He fires Comey. So people right away, you think, well, he's getting rid of this guy because he's getting too close to the truth. Now, that might not be true, but what does it look like? Okay? It's
the optics are certainly bad, but he wasn't under investigation. Comey already had...
No, that's right. Comey, and that's right. He said he wasn't. And he made sure to say that 3 times. Okay? It's not even a matter of whether he's under investigation or not. It's just the impropriety of what things look like, because that's how we judge a lot of things before you actually have hearings and evidence is produced. Manafort had many dealings with Russia. His son-in-law had dealings with Russia. His own the Trump Foundation was getting a lot of money from Russia. Okay, because according to news outlets, nobody in this country, no bank in New York would loan him money anymore. He had to get his money from someplace. All that doesn't look good for him. That's what I'm saying. It just doesn't look good for him.
No, I agree. But the news never talks about all the connections and actual interdealings with the Democratic Party. Now, I'm not saying as whether or not Trump's administration or son-in-law or whatever. I'm not trying to lessen that degree of, communications with the Russians. I'm just saying what gets reported, of course, creates an appearance, while these other people are doing the same, if not worse, and have done worse as far as any type of communications, inappropriate communications with foreign countries. But that never gets reported. And so we just have to trust. This is a man that we elected. We have to just trust, because if we go on every story that's printed out there without giving the chance for what needs to come out, good grief, that's our problem in our country, is we see something and automatically, oh, did you see that?
Well, you know why? Because everybody runs to their own corner. Yeah. It's like a boxing match,
Like Comey said, most of those articles printed up in all those newspapers, including the Times, the real good Times, they were all lies, phony stories.
Well, have you been listening to what?
Getting back to the school thing, I think if we got rid of the district offices and a lot of those employees, we wouldn't need the unions to protect the teachers.
Well,
the teachers would be able to get a decent salary and get out of the way so they can teach the children. They know what's right. They know what their children need.
I have to tell you, I taught in the New York City school system for 34 years, and I've seen just about everything. Okay. What happened was back in 1968 and 69, when they had a couple of big strikes, the teachers struck, and the neighborhoods wanted more control, so they set up these community school boards. All right. Now, and I don't mean to disparage any group of people,